Someone recently asked how I get my stucco wall texture on these miniature houses, and I figured now would be a perfect time to go over it because I have a version in unpainted, painted, and fully washed. So to start off with, I cut and texture the XPF foam. For texturing, I use the old tinfoil ball technique. However, on this one, you don't want to use a fresh, spiky tinfoil ball like you would for rock texture. It's a lot subtler of a texture, and you want a really nice, old, used tinfoil ball that you're going to rub around to texture the wall. Next, for coloring, I just worked up from a off-white yellow through a lighter off-white yellow to a full pale off-white, going first with a thick coat, then a heavy dry brush, and then finally a light dry brush. And then to cap it off, I went in with a black brown wash made from oil paints. I used a burnt umber and a small amount of black, and just really lather it all over. And if you need to, you can come back with your mineral spirits or your thinner and wipe away excess. But I find if you have properly thinned down your wash, you don't really need to do that on this sort of texture because you do want it to get everywhere. On these buildings, I cut the foam very thin. I find that the texture holds a bit better when the foam is this thin, but you could easily get the same effect with a thicker piece. I just decided to go this way. So all you want to do is take your dulled tinfoil ball and just really work it into the foam. You're going to have to be a bit rougher than you would on a rock texture because your foam ball is a lot duller, and that creates the texture that I used on these buildings. Once it's all done, you'll probably have some slight bowing, but that can be dealt with once you glue it on. And yeah, that's the texture. It's perfectly fine if not every part of it is as deeply textured. If you have some raised areas and some more textured areas, that just adds more character to the piece. The oil wash is really simple. All you'll need is some oil paints, some odorless mineral spirits, a paintbrush suitable for oils, and a small piece of cardboard. For the wash I used on the stucco, I used a small amount of raw umber and a small amount of black. And the first thing I like to do is let my paints sweat a bit. So you just need a small amount of your main color and then an even smaller amount of your black. And I like to let them sweat for maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but that just lets some of their oils get sucked into the cardboard, and I find that gives you a bit of a better wash. This step is completely optional. Now that we've let our oil paints sweat for a little bit, they're perfectly ready to use. You'll see a little bit of pooling of oil around them that's been sucked into the cardboard, and that's right around when you know they're ready to use. So you just want to take some of your odorless mineral spirits, and a little goes a long way. And then you just take a small amount of your main pigment and mix it in. And then along the side of the cup, you can really look at the pigment come out. I'll grab a little bit of black because that just gives it a bit better of a body, I find. And then you really just want to start lathering it on. just, you know, get it into every nook and cranny where you, especially in places where you'd like a bit more dirt and grime to have built up. And the best part about oil washes is the really long working time you have with them to play with how the texture and the wash is setting. But also if you get a point that's too heavy and has too much on it, you can come back in with a sponge soaked in mineral spirits and just wipe away the wash. And that's something that it really has an advantage on over acrylic style washes. And I find a brown and black oil wash is pretty much good on any type of material that you may want to wash. Yeah, and like the same wash works perfectly fine for the wood. You can just kind of work it into all the nooks and crannies, and yeah, and just keep working with it and playing around. Alright, well, that's it for this first video. Thanks for watching. I hope this answered your questions about the style of oil wash I've been using on these buildings. If you have any other questions, please let me know.